Oversight Committee meeting and call the meeting to order. Do we need a roll call,
Yes.
please?
Rick Aldinger. Justin Chang,
Yes.
Carol Trebajian,
Present.
Nick Sina.
Yeah.
Rick Hoyer.
Here.
Perfect. Thank you.
And we need to have instructions about the meeting?
Yes. In-person rules. The city of Monterey is committed to the safe attendance of its public meetings. Masks are recommended for all who attend in person, regardless of vaccination status, except those who are younger than 2 years old or have a medical condition that prevents wearing a mask. We ask that attendees in council chambers keep their phones and devices muted to prevent audio interference and feedback with the hybrid meeting. Zoom procedures. The city of Monterey seeks to continue to offer virtual methods of public participation meetings. If you aren't joining us in person here in council chambers, there are 2 ways to virtually participate in this meeting. You may join the meeting directly on Zoom Gov using the Zoom app on your computer or mobile device, and you can also call into the Zoom meeting. To join the meeting on Zoom on your computer, smartphone, or telephone, use the link or phone number on the agenda at isearchmonterey.org. Since the meeting has started, you'll find the agenda under the Recent tab. To call into the Zoom meeting, dial toll-free 833-568-8864, then enter meeting ID 1603-356-502, and if prompted to enter a participant ID, press pound. Detailed instructions on using Zoom are available at monterey.org/public meetings. To make a public comment using the Zoom app, you can virtually raise your hand by pressing the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. If you dialed in by phone, raise your hand by dialing *9 and then unmute yourself when called upon by dialing *6. You must do both. Public commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak. I will call on each public speaker in the order of their hands raised. Please stay within the time limit that will be established for today's meeting, which we will show using a countdown timer on the screen. If you are connected live on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. Today's meeting is also streamed live on the city's YouTube account, which is accessible at youtube.com/City of Monterey with an approximate 10-second delay, and on Comcast channel 25 with up to a 90-second delay. As always, we look forward to receiving public comment.
Great. And call for public comment, and this portion is allowing the public to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on any subject within the jurisdiction of the Measure P&S Oversight Committee, but which is not on the agenda. Do we have any public comment?
No public comments.
Thank you. And great. We move on. We have next section. We have board member comments at this point. Anyone? No. No. Excellent. Then could we move forward to the approval of the minutes from July 10th, please? We have a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Sawyer motion and Chang second. We have any public comment?
No public comments.
Right. And could we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we were going to review unaudited expenditures from July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2023 for conformance to the Measure P&S language.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the council board. So for your expenditures for the entire year of 2023, July 1, 2022 through 2023, we have actually seen the first 3 quarters. So this is pretty much going to be the wrap up for the entire year. I want to start with the second page for starting with the revenue status. So we brought in revenues of 11,804,659, which was 167,000 more than what we actually anticipated and put in the budget. For interest income, we brought in 248,956, which is 205,000 more than what we anticipated. So total revenues, 12,053,616. For total over what we anticipated, 373,468. Moving on to expenses for the storm drains. The amount spent for storm drains for their fiscal year, 347,183.17, with an additional 28,789 spent in labor costs. So total cost for storm drains was 375,972. Moving on to sidewalks, we spent 758,685. And then on labor costs, an additional 303,657 for a total cost of sidewalks, 1,062,343 for the year. Next areas in pavements. In pavements, we spent 2,094,768. Total cost for labor, 212,992. So a total spent for payment for the fiscal year, 2,307,760. And then for ADA, there was 550,559 spent, and the total labor cost spent was 56,639 for a total cost for the year for ADA projects, 607,199. Go back to the first page. I just want to we already talked about this. So your total revenue, total expenses paid for the year, 4,353,275. And then the total spent since inception and expenditures, 64,439,726. We can talk about the other totals at the next report. That concludes the unaudited expense report for the fiscal year 2023.
Any questions?
Is that complete? Is it complete and totaled out now that fiscal year, or there's still like
Correct.
more transactions that might trickle in?
No, that's complete.
I have a question. When it says here, note, Portola Plaza added to pavement. Why was it added to pavement? That is considered a city, that's city property and a city street, is it not?
I think there might have been litigation over that,
There's still,
whether it was or not and who was responsible for it.
there's still litigation going on.
Portola Plaza?
The area in front of the conference center and the hotel.
Is
And
that-
the area in between, I think.
It was my impression that 6 inches outside of the hotel became the city's property from when it was built in 78, but I don't know.
I think there's ongoing litigation
Okay.
about exactly that. I think the city originally said, no, it's your hotel, your responsibility, and then they've since changed and brought it out of here, if I remember right, but.
Good morning. I think this is turned around the wrong way.
You're right. I was looking at that. It's like,
My name is Andrew Easterling. I'm the new city engineer. Nice to meet you, committee members. I don't have an exact answer to that, where that note came from. My understanding at this time is that our right-of-way lines are a little wonky in front of the Portola Hotel, so that actually might be in public right-of-way, not necessarily in private property. But I can look into that. I don't have that. I don't have a firm answer for you right now, but I can look into that first.
because you certainly, there is a 3-minute parking zone that is the city's out there. I know that
How do you know it's the city?
the what?
How do you know it's the city's?
I guess I asked you May.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes,
Yeah, right. Again, my initial impression and or knowledge of it was that like 6 inches outside of the hotel became city property. But I don't know. Again, I guess we'd have to research if there's litigation on it. And I know the Del Monte Terrace, definitely where the fountain used to be, that's city property. But that's what I don't understand. I thought because when the conference center was renovated, the city paid for that to do, what, 2 million or something like that to renovate that driveway, that circle. So I don't know. And again, they may have just said, gee, we'll just throw in $2 million, but that's not normally something that I would think they would volunteer to do unless it was their property.
I don't have the history on that one, but I can look into this specific note, this task order to see exactly where that landed and hopefully ensure that's in public right of way.
Okay, because again, I remember back when we questioned why they had Mexican rock in the, at the conference center. And it was something, again, it was city property there, and that was somewhere around in that driveway area. So yes, please, if we would. Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions on any of the line items or anything?
What do you have?
I don't have any.
You?
No, I don't have any.
Gosh,
They all make sense. There are no weird names.
no, nothing unusual.
Well, we've seen a lot of it before, so it's not like this is new.
True.
This is just the final, finishing up with the final things. I'll make a motion. We find it consistent with the language for measure PNS.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, Hoyer and Chang. Any discussion? Do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
Then could we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Justin Chang,
Yes.
Carol Tribajian,
Yes.
Nick Sina, Rick Hoyer.
Aye.
Okay, measure passes unanimously. Next, I want to review the unaudited report for the period of July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2023.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, for this, I'll just start with, so from inception, we just talked about the numbers, talk a little bit more detailed. From inception through June 23, the total revenues, including interest, was 82.2 million. And then total expenditures, 64.4 million. And so our fund balance, as of June 30 ends at 7.7 million remaining. So for the fiscal year for 2022, 23, beginning July 21, ending June 30, we had total revenues of 12,053,000. Again, that's 11 million that was in the tax revenue, 11.8, and 248,000 for interest. Our total expenditures, 4.3 million for the year. And the total change in fund balance was 3.4 million from the prior year.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I'm reading this right, last year was a record year for tax revenue. Because the fiscal 15 to 18 is 3 years, so that would be an average of 10 million a year. And we're 11.8. And we started last year with a big amount. I guess my question is, what has contributed to the increase to pre-pandemic numbers?
It's just that well, there's two things. It is the increase in sales tax has gone back pre-pandemic, but we also passed the measure, so the increase that extra.
Okay, so we increased the percentage.
Right.
Okay, that now makes sense. All right. It was like, I'm going, that's a good recovery from COVID.
Well, it didn't kick, it got passed by the voters, I think, right before COVID.
Yeah.
And then so you didn't see.
And
it.
then everything was down. So
Right.
yeah, so we're really starting to see
Exactly.
the impact.
Exactly.
But I think also we have to be careful because we looked at, and I know that and from a TOT standpoint, our TOT and TID were down in July and August because we're now coming out of COVID, we had good occupancy and high room rates, which was giving us the TOT collection. There's now price resistance, and we're seeing that with groups too. And if we see that with the sales tax, again, you're getting sales tax from food and beverage and from rentals for AV and stuff. So if we end up continuing with this price resistance or the room rate resistance, we could end up having in this fiscal year, we could end up with less sales tax. Because again, when the conference center was closed, it dipped because of that, that the lack of that sales tax. And I have a concern, having seen, I just saw at Finance Committee for the Convention Bureau the other day, how the July and August, and again, August is a huge month, but TOT collection was down in both months. So again, I think we need to be aware potentially of things that could be happening with the sales tax if we continue with this, with room rate resistance.
So just so that you're aware, I'm sure you are, but for the audience, we actually post every month. So we track the sales of the TOT tax that comes in from each hotel, and we do a year over year comparison from July of 23 compared to July of 22 and so on. We do that every month. And then we actually post on the finance website, we post the TOT numbers. So there is some documentation if you ever want to go back and actually just look that up.
Yeah. Again, I think just something for us to be aware of in case, again, we're doing well still, but when they find a different place to go, we might not recover from it. Recovering, the sell of group is a lot farther out than leisure. And we were already bulking at the leisure rates, and now the groups are bulking too. So I think we need to be aware and careful. And I know the Convention Bureau is working on that as well to try and help with selling more of the groups. Okay, thank you.
You're also dealing with excessive rates isn't just a Monterey phenomenon.
No,
Single biggest complaint from folks everywhere in the country is what's being charged now for hotel rooms. It is not readjusted after COVID, and
No.
it's due for an adjustment.
it is, yeah. And if we could get ahead of that, again, with the sell on group is a lot longer than the sell on leisure. But if we could get ahead of that with the room rates, then we could get ahead of other people and bring back that group revenue that is actually really good for us. Yeah. Anything else? Quick question, and I don't know the answer to that. What is the pavement condition, PCI?
So I don't think this is on, but hopefully you guys can hear me just fine. We have a model that is routinely updated to assess our pavement condition index, 100 being the best and 0 being the worst. Right now, our model is showing we have a pavement condition index of 71, which is pretty fair. However, I'm going to caveat that saying our network has not been assessed in a while. We've done a small assessment of 9 miles of road. And we found out that there was some errors in the model that needed to be recalibrated. And I think we need a network-wide assessment that we're starting so that we understand the inputs that are going into our model are actually valid and sound. And that way it's not garbage in, garbage out, because 71 at face value, just looking around the city, I think is maybe a little off. So we want to recalibrate our model soon to get a better understanding of what our real pavement condition index is. So right now our model is showing 71, but I'm going to caveat that and saying we think the inputs to that model need to be reevaluated just to ensure that it's not garbage in, garbage out. The model is actually showing a real reflection of what our actual pavement condition index is.
And our goal initially, and still ongoing, is to get to a pavement condition of PCI of 75. And do we think, I don't know.
Actually, we dropped that in the last
The what?
tax measure. It dropped to 67 as a target in the last measure.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, initially we'd like to get to 75. I always remember
I'd
the,
love to get to 100, but that's
well, yeah,
impossible.
exactly. But I remember a teacher saying that 75% was very good. And I'm like, I was a teacher and 75% is a C. And but in pavement condition, that's, really good.
In pavement condition, that's good. 100 might not be economically viable for cities to maintain an average PCI of 100. I've come from the city of Salinas. Our pavement condition index was around 50 and we were losing ground every year. So I just to kind of give you a reflection on how other cities are. 71, if we're in that ballpark, that's pretty good. I think we're really blessed to have a self-help local fund to pay for pavement maintenance. So meeting that goal or recalibrating our numbers to understand if we're close to that goal, I think, we're in good shape. We need to check our inputs to make sure that our model's properly calibrated.
Exactly.
And we're always buying time. It's not like we hit 75 and we've hit the finish line. Every maintenance project is just buying time until, the road's going to need more repair. So it's always going to be an ongoing effort. It's not like we hit 75 and that's our mission
And
accomplished.
stop. Yeah, right.
Yes, it'll continue.
Okay. Are there any questions?
The metrics have like is there like a standard deviation for that?
No, it'd be nice to have that. The PCI is really an oversimplification of, essentially 100 miles of roadway network to one number score. As far as I know, I don't think our model has some sort of standard deviation or range showing what its probability is. It really is, it's a tool for trying to really refine our entire roadway network to a single score. It doesn't present it in a range.
And there's no metric that says like some level is fine. Say we had 70, but we had a whole bunch of roads that was that 20.
Or less.
Or less. And, we may have some roads at 100, so we get them in that middle
Yeah.
area when you put it together, but if there's some like X below.
No, there's not an industry standard. That could be a policy decision that the city adopts that would say, below a PCI of 20 is unacceptable and we need to prioritize maintenance. That would be a policy decision. I'll say it becomes challenging once the roadways start to fall into disrepair, the cost and the level of engineering effort and construction to bring that back up from a failure. It's much more expensive and much harder to do. So from like a bang for your buck, keeping your pavement from falling off the cliff where they start to drop below a score of say like 70 or 60 is really the highest value work we could be doing, because once it starts to fall off that cliff and requires rehab, that's when the construction costs, the engineering all becomes much more challenging. And so once a road fails and gets to about 20, it's tough to deal with, and it's tough to actually rehab back to an acceptable level. So it'd be nice. I mean, it's a good policy decision to have. I just don't think that the city has any adopted policy.
When I'd ask again that because I know in the beginning that it's rehab rather than replace. And I know in our neighborhood, there was slurry sealing early. And lifespan of that slurry seal has ended now. And I know we're on to other things, but how has the city looked at that where, okay, we slurry sealed, and I know they've got other bigger fish to fry now with some of the pavement.
I think
Still
they're
being
bal-
bad,
They're
yeah.
balancing both, because I know, saw on one thing here is my street is due to be done again, and it was slurried previously.
Right.
So
Yeah, mine-
I know they're redoing some, but it's, at least I'm assuming it's slurry they're doing in the next one. I don't know for sure. I think they're trying to do some rehab as well as keep doing slurry, but it's how do you spend the money to get the biggest bang for the buck?
Sure. In my understanding, and I'm relatively new still, but is the city strategy has been with the first cycle of Measure P and Measure S was touch every street once. And we've done a lot of the easy roads where we can slurry seal. We still have some really challenging roads like Franklin or Foam Street that, like I said, the complexities of rehabbing those are a little bit more challenging. But we are trying to close out that list of hitting every street. And then as we finish up this network-wide reassessment to recalibrate our model, then we'll start looking at our projections for the next cycle. Right now, I have a kind of a good idea of where we're going in the next 2 years, but I can't with any precision tell you where we're going to be maybe 5 years from now.
Have we actually touched every street by now?
We're getting close, but no, we have not.
They got some real bad ones.
I was gonna say,
There are some
the
really,
ones that are
like Cass
dirt.
Street.
Yeah, right.
Well, no, Cass Street is
Oh, yeah, Cass Street is, yeah.
pretty bad.
You do, if you didn't have to go to the doctor before you drove on Cass Street, you do after you drive on Cass Street, right?
find a good chiropractor, I imagine.
Exactly. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
Then could I have a motion to accept this as presented?
Everyone's rushing to make a motion. So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Do we have any other discussion? Any public comment?
No public comment.
Then could we have a roll call vote, please?
Justin Chang,
Yes.
Carol Tribajian,
Yes.
Nick Sina,
Yes.
Rick Hoyer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Perfect. So now we need to review the unaudited expenditures for conformance to the Measure P and S language.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so this one is for the first quarter of 2024. So we're starting with July 1, 2023 through September 30, 2023.
Yep.
So I'm going to start with the second page again, starting with the revenues. So at this point, we budgeted 11.8 million in revenues for this year. We have received year to date 928,830 in revenues. So that's we received about 7.84%, which is typically in the first 3 months, we were looking at 8.3%. So we're right around the target. For our expenditures, starting with storm drains, for the first 3 months, we spent 605,355. And for the labor costs associated, 42,133. So for a total cost of 647,489 for storm drains. For sidewalks, it was 450,182. Associated labor costs, 77,285. For a total cost spent for sidewalks, 527,467 for the first quarter. And then for moving on to pavements, we spent 50,295. Labor costs, 78,716, and a total cost of $129,011 for the first quarter. Rounding it out with ADA, 106,241, labor costs $41,012, and our total expense for ADA for the first quarter, 147,253. Going back to first page. These are our. So the top half is year to, they're not quarterly, so the comparison is not gonna be like, those are complete years versus telling what the first quarter is. So we'll look at the comparison year over year at the bottom. So these are for quarterly, so the first quarter comparing FY 21-22, and then 21-22, 22-23, and then now 23-24, the first quarter. 928,000 for the tax revenue as opposed to last year, 917,000. So around the same ballpark, about up 1%. Interest, 33,000. This quarter, 37,000. Up 15% for the expenditure. For this quarter, 647,000 was spent. Significantly higher on storm drains than it has been the last several fiscal years in the first quarter. Sidewalks, 527,000. And again, that's up significantly from the last several quarters at the same time. Pavement, 129,000. That's down from the prior year, down by 91%. In ADA, we spent 147,000 first quarter compared to 109,000 last quarter. So overall, total spending 1.45 million this year. This first quarter, as opposed to last year, first quarter was 1.75, just down 264,000, 15%.
Yes.
And a couple of questions. First is, why is Measure P and S spending money in the marina parking lot instead of having it come from the marina fund?
Sarah's is attending.
for my initial understanding of, this is right. So my initial understanding of the Measure P, Measure S spending that's in the marina lot is it's all related to that giant bioretention storm drain. And that receives runoff from Figueroa Street as well as from the parking lot. So my understanding is because it receives runoff from the street, the public right of way, that it would be Measure P or Measure S eligible. But that is my initial understanding. You'll have to forgive me. I'm still catching up and drinking through the fire hose. But I know that project, the Measure S funding that went into it was all for the storm drain features.
I guess my question is it eligible? But why are we spending Measure P and S when there's a dedicated marina fund and that is work being done in the marina area?
That has plenty of money too.
That has, I don't know, does it have the money to cover it or not? Or they made it go broke?
There's no plenty of money in Marina Fund. It's not.
Okay. So the answer is there wasn't enough money to finish the job. And they needed P and S excuse to do it. And you could, because it could be viewed as a
Right.
valid.
And we'll do that, no matter what fund it is. If it's an eligible cost and the fund is low, like, Marina's one, I want to say the wharf is another one, but there are several funds that need additional, but if you can find different funding sources, just like in the general fund, if we can find funding sources, let's say from SB1 or from gas,
Okay.
you'll spend it wherever you
Really
can.
came down to the answer being there not enough money to cover it. So that's why it came out of there. And then the second question, which you may or may not be able to answer. I noticed we spent over $500,000 so far on the Irish Canyon sediment removal. Any idea when that's going to be done?
So we're approaching our winterization period where the contractor is going to pull out of there. They're still going to have to come back in the spring and finish up some of their planting. They couldn't find some of the seed material, the hydro seed that was spec'd out this year. So they had to put in some grow requests for nurseries to come back to have that seed mix ready for the spring when they can come back and finish it out.
So the drainage related piece is pretty much done, but the project isn't. So we could see that road being opened again shortly?
Yes.
Okay. It's been closed quite a while.
Opened by the winter?
Very soon. I think they're finishing up their hydro seed operations, if not this week, next week, and all the work will cease until they have to come back in April.
And then, so that theoretically is going to solve the flooding issue across Via Murata there, in theory.
In theory, yes.
Okay.
Technically, yes, right.
I mean, till you get the big rain, you don't know, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it won't rain for another 5 years, so then I'm kidding.
Well, I don't know if anyone's seen it, but that area of along Irish Canyon, it's like our version of the Grand Canyon.
That's true.
It's had a ton of erosion and all of that flows into Lagunita Murata, which is silt retention for
Filling
El
up
Estero,
silt, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll have to be drained, have to be.
which
scooped
got
out again.
dredged finally.
Yeah, finally, yeah, exactly. I have a question, just a quick question, is that as far as sidewalks, so path of history tiles, was that adding, or did you just repair a sidewalk and you had to get new ones?
I'll have to look. I don't think we've been adding, as we've been doing our sidewalk project, we've been removing sections of sidewalk that had the path of history tiles. And so I know we've had to replace them as part of our sidewalks project, but I can look into that and get you a firm answer.
I mean, those tiles are a little old now anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, but I think to add, you'd have to go through historic preservation and
That's-
cultural museum of cultural arts, and I don't remember
We-
that ever happening. So
Yeah, we have not been doing that as part of our sidewalks project. We've just been.
Because we're flush with cash, so let's add something. Thank you. Justin, have any questions?
No questions.
Nick, anything else?
I'll make a motion. We find the expenditures consistent with Measure P and S language.
We have a motion and a second. We have any other further discussion? Any public comment?
No public comments.
Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Did that
Yeah.
before I made the motion.
You're right.
Oh, well.
I know. That's all right.
Rick Aldinger. Justin Chang,
Yes.
Carol Trabajian,
Yes.
Nick Sina,
Yes.
Rick Hoyer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes unanimously with those present. Next, we have reviewing the unaudited periodic report from July 1, 2023 through September 30, 2023.
Okay, last one. Okay, so we talked about the numbers for the most part. So let's from inception from through September 30th, 2023. So our total revenue, tax revenue has been 82,188,885. Total interest, 944,379 for total revenue from Measure PNS, including interest, is 83.13 million. Total expenditures during that same time frame. For storm drains, we spent 3.6 million. Sidewalks, 5.5 million. For pavement, 45 million. ADA, 10.9 million. For total expenditures of 65.89 million. So total revenue over expenses, we were at 17.24. So our fund balance for this first quarter is a change with a decrease of 484,000 as we brought in revenues of 966 and spent 1.45.
Any questions?
Hmm.
Do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
Then could I have a motion to accept the
So moved.
Second,
motion and a second? We have any discussion? Any public comment?
No public comment.
Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Justin Chang,
Yes.
Carol Tribajian,
Yes.
Nick Sina,
Yes.
Rick Hoyer.
yes,
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously with those present. Okay, then now we're going to review the rehabilitation and reconstruction reports from winter 2023 through spring 2024.
well, while you're looking, I guess I'll just ask you some questions about the list.
Uh-oh.
I'm assuming this is a mixture of all kinds of work. This isn't just all slurry seal, or it depends on the street what's going to be done.
Let's see.
Because I
Yeah,
see a lot of different roads that are a lot of different conditions that are on here, but
Yeah.
Document that we're looking at, one title, Measure PNS under 2023 to spring 24, with a list of street name, beginning location, and location area.
Sure. So this is the kind of 2-year look ahead. I mentioned earlier that we have a pretty good idea where we're going in the next 2 years with our pavement projects. So this is the projects that are planned in the next 2 years. The other list is, I believe this was requested at the last Measure PNS committee. I apologize, I couldn't get it to you in Excel format as this included in this attachment, but we can have that emailed out so you guys can filter it and search through it the way you want to. But this is the output of our street saver model, is the current condition of the entire network. So it gives you an idea of where the worst roads are, or you can find it in alphabetical order, or you can filter it however you want. So this is kind of where we're going in the next 2 years, and this is the entire network where we're at currently.
Just for clarity, where you're saying this is where we're going for the next 2 years. But, and it's titled winter 23 to spring 24. Is it starting during that time period and it'll be completed in the next 2 years? Or is the title incorrect?
The title probably should have loosened up the time frame a little bit, because I think spring 24 would be ambitious for some of these. I think through the end of 24 is probably a better way of communicating this.
you may or may not be able to answer, because I've got questions on the Alta Mesa Road, Circle, and Dondavi sections that are on here to be happening. Someone's been having a lot of fun with multiple colored paint cans throughout the neighborhood. I get a lot of questions of what the heck does all that stuff mean? Is it a slurry seal that's happening, or are they going to repair certain spot repair and then slurry like they did last time?
So they will be doing spot repairs
Okay.
before they do slurry. So the sections of pavement that have failed or look like they're fatiguing, they're gonna do small dig outs. And so that's probably why you're seeing different markings on the pavement. It's either laying out the dig outs or it could be the utility companies.
Hey, well, it's all of the above, but yeah.
It's not just tagging. It's
Tagging would actually be nicer looking, but yeah.
Construction and tagging. And so
Okay.
the goal with that is to fix the failed sections. The slurry
okay.
seal is just a.
That
top
was
coat.
my assumption, because that's what they did last time they did the slurry. It wasn't just the slurry. We had areas cut out, and there's some areas that, yeah, we have one area where there's a root uplift that's about this high in the road. So I doubt they're gonna slurry over that, but I just wanted to make sure. And Dondavi needs a whole lot more work than simply slurry seal. So,
Yes, yeah. They're doing some dig outs on Dondavi.
okay.
I had a question. I see all these sections of Fremont on here, and is the section that is right in front of Safeway that borders up the Seaside, where Seaside replaced everything on their end already? Is that, I don't believe that's gonna be.
No, this isn't North Fremont. I think these sections are South.
These are Fremont Street. itself.
Fremont, yeah.
Yeah.
Over by the car wash,
Yeah,
Yeah.
by the car wash.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Mesa, and yeah. Mhm. But that
That other section.
that other section is very tricky over there, because I complained about that at one point, and now Seaside has repaved on both sides of Canyon Del Rey. But the Monterey City line, I think, goes through the Safeway parking lot. It's very,
Actually, three
Unusual.
city lines. go through the
Yeah,
Safeway
yeah,
side.
yeah, but so up toward then Casanova, who is that, the city of Monterey? Because that needs some work.
I believe that's the city of Monterey, and I don't have it in the 2-year projection, but as we finish up our new network-wide assessment and recalibrate our model, we'll start building in or programming the next few years of roadway maintenance projects.
Yeah.
So
They redid all the Fremont up to that section.
That's Cortez.
Yeah,
we left a gap.
It looks odd. There's one square.
yeah,
That's just all.
right by from Casanova down to the, just about almost down to Safeway.
Yeah.
Where Seaside did it. And it really was really bad down by the traffic light. And I complained about that at one, that's when I learned that that was actually Seaside and not Monterey. But now, yeah, it's just a chunk.
Well, and part of that is state, because Highway 218 is the state responsibility. So that intersection itself, at Canyon Del Rey and North Fremont, that's state.
That's
The last thing you ever want to have to be responsible for is repaving the Safeway parking lot, right? That is a nightmare.
I don't believe the city is responsible for that, despite what you've seen in the weekly.
I think Monterey is right in the front by the sidewalk, isn't it? Something like that. I don't know, but
I don't know.
that's not that, but that piece, if we could find out something about that, because that is now, it was really unsightly down by the traffic light. Now Seaside has fixed that. Now we've got the portion that I believe is ours, that can we get a timeline on when we think that might be taken care of?
Yeah, and so as we recalibrate the model, we'll be looking for all this, but if this was a gap, it was a road we were supposed to touch, then we should probably have it in pretty early. So I can look at that,
Okay.
but I do believe that's city right away.
I got a correction for you on this.
Sure.
Don, when you're in Fremont Street, you're looking at doing Abrego to Major Sherman, then Major Sherman to Cortez Street, and then Cortez to Camino El Estero. That is Mesa. That's Cortez is on all the way quarter mile away from there. There is no Cortez that intersects with Fremont Street. It's next to the flower store. Right there. I was trying to follow the thing, figuring, okay, it goes from here, and yeah, so it's the two segments. You got Major Sherman to Cortez and Cortez to Camino El Estero. That should be Mesa Road.
Okay, we'll check.
And Mesa is up above there.
And then you've got Mesa to Villa Mirada. Yeah, that would be So I don't know how you have Cortez to Camino El Estero. Don't know how they're doing. Oh, it's that.
Yeah.
That section would be the piece in front of the car wash.
I was gonna say, yeah,
And then there's
yeah,
it's like,
right,
yeah,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, but there is no Cortez there.
Okay,
You actually have it elsewhere on here where it really is. So
we'll check, make sure
Yeah.
the inputs in the model are accurate.
otherwise, it's a long, windy stretch of work they're doing.
These segments are really granular, so that
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's literally, it's 10 years, it's about 50 feet in one segment here, so.
We have any other questions?
And these get determined based on their current PPI model, or how's that? Go?
my understanding of the past strategy is we've been trying to touch every road. And so someone just looked at our map and broke it up into segments based on the type of work that we were thinking we were going to need. So these segments were determined on, we're trying to hit every road. These portions of road required, dig outs and slurry seals. So that was the recommendation. They were packaged into RSR 4, RSR 5. So I think it was kind of determined by the type of work that was needed and maybe the proximity to other roads that also required similar type of work with the strategy of we're trying to touch every street.
Do you expect that strategy, that's the same strategy you're expecting to continue? Because it sounds like this is the strategy they previously used, and that you might be looking at.
That I guess depends. As we look at measure S sunsetting, it depends on what the promises are made there. Because I think that was the expectation with when we advertise measure S, is that we're going to touch every street. And so I think that's why the strategy has been in place. As I mentioned, I'm from another jurisdiction that didn't quite have the same access to self-help funding. It was a managed retreat strategy, which was prioritize the roads that are going to have the biggest bang for your buck. So I think it depends on what type of funding opportunities we have in the future, how we're going to assess roadway maintenance. So if we have another ballot measure that goes out that says, hey, we're going to touch every street, then absolutely, that's going to be the strategy moving forward. If we're working with limited or finite funds, then I think we have to look at other cost-effective ways of, oops, am I not on? Cost-effective ways of prioritizing roadway improvements. So I guess my answer is, it depends.
But if you go back to the Fremont, that's been touched more than a couple of times down in that area. And they're in the middle of doing something else right now.
Well, it's also been dug up a few times, but yeah. Well, actually, the other side of the
Should I
street's
sit over
been
there?
dug up.
So we can be heard. Uh-oh.
Yeah, and general, just so you know, when the door gets rattled, it's because we don't have a mic on somewhere. That's his way of signaling it.
All right. Can you hear me now? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, we can hear it.
Yeah, a lot of that Fremont was slurried in 2018.
It was, and then wasn't there Cal-Am work and PG&E work and I mean,
That's all on westbound side. The eastbound side was slurried.
oh,
They
okay,
haven't
okay.
done the other side yet.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's on
Yeah.
that side. Yeah, okay, got it. Got it, okay. Yeah, that's the other side. The westbound side keeps getting dug up every other week, it seems.
Well, yeah, because Cal-Am put the big pipe through and then PG&E did work and looks like there's hazardous abatement this recently, those big tanks they've got out there.
I think
Yeah,
that's,
what is that for?
I think that's for their dewatering. I can confirm with our inspectors who are inspecting the encroachment application.
Well, and when they dig up the street, they need to put it back into its,
They're responsible
They're
to
responsible
replace it to the
where-
way it was before they dug.
right?
Correct. We have standard plans and requirements that anyone who trenches into the roadway has to patch it up to a certain standard in compaction. So as the utility companies cut into it, they're required to build it back up to standard. And we try to coordinate as much as we can with the utility companies. So we don't slurry a road and then a few weeks later they cut into it.
Right. Yeah, but as I said, that
Well,
spot,
it's like where the water leak was at the entrance to Del Monte Center.
yeah,
And it took a while for Cal-Am to finish repairing it because
Right.
it was off-road vehicles only for a while.
Right. Okay. We have any other questions?
Mm.
Any public comment?
No public comment.
Right, then may we have a motion to accept this report?
Second.
A motion and a second. You have any other discussion? Any public comment?
No public comment.
May we have a roll call vote, please? And
Justin Chang,
Yes.
Carol Tribajian.
yes,
Nick Sina.
Yes.
Rick Hoyer.
Yes,
Thank you.
motion passes unanimously of those present. Now we have these lovely colorful chart. Our sales tax update.
Next time we'll make sure we print them out in color for you.
you must have printed out your own because you got a color one. We got low budget one.
Oh, yeah, I
Which is
printed my
fine.
own,
Don't need color.
which I don't know, yeah.
Okay, so this is the first quarter from the 2023, the sales tax update from our consultants. Pretty much a little quarterly newsletter. So this is from January through March. So our measure PNS tax was up 1.7%. Total collections 2.5 million. So to note that from January through March, 1.4% was below the first period, same time in 2022. But we do see modest gains from the restaurants, hotels. That's the biggest category. We were talking about that earlier with the dining and leisure entertainment also. We actually see that measure PNS and also G posted optimistic returns. And our top 25 producers, they are in alphabetical order. So there's no ranking here. They're here for you to see. And then on the back is more of the statewide results. They're saying for the remainder of 2023, they're looking at sales tax may decrease modestly. You know, you were talking about that earlier. But we're still looking at a recovery in 2024. So we're still very optimistic that we'll come out to great numbers. This is just for your information, unless you have any questions.
It's interesting, Intercon is not here. In the top 25. Have to call,
Didn't do
Turn-
much group.
Paul Turner and ask him what's going on. The Intercontinental is not, and when you have the major, the big hotels are all in here. Intercontinental is not. But again, if we're looking at the sales tax where we could potentially see that, I want to be interested, I'm interested to see in like then we get to the second and third quarter this year in the summer and see where the sales tax is from the hotels and the restaurants.
We should be
Um,
getting that report probably within the next few weeks for the
Okay.
second quarter.
Okay, so we've got a chart on the front that's showing restaurants and hotels are up. And we're up overall, whereas the county and the state are down. But then when I look on the back, this little one in the back, is this like a breakout of those? So if it's casual dining and hotels and motels and quick service restaurants and all, and fine dining, all of those would add together to the one that's on the front?
Yes,
Okay,
it's a breakdown percentage.
Yeah.
Wise, yes.
so it's hotels and motels that are up. Fine dining's up. The quick service and casual dining are all down. Within that area, which is our biggest area of growth.
Which again could indicate more group rather than
Mhm.
leisure. It's more group rather than leisure business.
Yeah.
Which is good.
It's not the day visitation business. because that would be impacting quick service and casual dining as much as others. Whereas fine dining, it has to be residents and overnight business. Now, a restaurant within a hotel. So you've got, let's say, Monterey Plaza Hotel has their fine dining restaurant. Is that their numbers included in hotels and motels or fine dining?
That is a terrific question. I will have to find that out.
I'm just trying to get a feel for, is it all related to the hotels that are up with all the dining? Because if it's not included, then what's up is the convention services.
Right.
Let me double check that for you.
Okay. Now, we may be happy that our hotel and motels was up 18.5%. Statewide, it was up 32. So
We still, we still have challenges in our comp set. Well, the state overall in our comp set, we're still down toward the bottom. We're working on it.
depends on which comp set you want to look at, but yeah.
That's true. Well, you can say at least either, maybe see Trader Joe's is in the top 25. Either the locals are spending a lot of money at Trader Joe's or the,
But a lot of Trader Joe's sales are not taxable.
that's true.
Its food is not sales tax.
That's true.
So.
Well, there's M&S building that's closing this week.
Which?
M&S building.
Oh, hard for them to compete against Home Depot.
The what?
It's hard
Yeah.
for them to compete against
Against
the Home
Home Depot.
Depot and Lowe's.
They made a good effort for a long
Mhm.
time, you know?
Well, in fact, that we don't have a lot of new construction because we don't have any water. It doesn't help either.
In their detail. Okay,
Remodel work isn't going to keep a M&S in business.
what is?
Just remodel business
Oh, no,
isn't
no,
by itself
no,
going to keep them.
uh-uh,
They need
no.
the big sales.
No, yep. Right, we have any other questions?
Mhm.
We have any public comment?
No public comment.
Could I have a motion to accept this report as presented?
So moved.
Second, and a motion and a second. We have any further discussion? Any public comment?
No public comment.
Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Justin Chang,
Yes.
Carol Tribajian,
Yes.
Nick Sina,
Yes.
Rick Hoyer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes unanimously if those present. Okay, so what we now need to do is, do we have the schedule where we could look at, well, that when we could have a report prepared, a date by which we could have a report prepared to then see when the city council is available for us to present our annual report.
So I have 3 dates. Actually we have 4, but I think the first one will be kind of pushing it. So the first one would be the report would need to be completed by Tuesday, the 24th, tomorrow, in order to go council meeting on November 7th. Or we have the November 21st, and the report has to be completed by the 7th, November 7th. We have the December 5th date, report completed by November 21st. And we also have December 19th, report completed by December 5th.
Do we have anything, what is city?
Well, okay. You're the one who has to give it. So, are any of those dates out for you?
Yeah, well, actually, fascinatingly, I have some business in December. It's like, I think, well, but is there anything pressing in the future on the city council agenda that would say, stay away from?
Never knows.
I know, but if we get in there early, could we?
Put it this way, you do not want to be on the meeting if they're talking about rental registry.
No,
No. I think that we are done with the rental registry. What, well, no.
Never say never.
No, they had to come back one more time because there was a change. So that will probably, well, let me not say, I'm not sure if it's coming back on the 7th or if it's coming back on the 21st. But I can put you in, you said you have things in December, correct?
December, yeah, what are the two meetings in December?
December is December 5th and December 19th.
Actually, my stuff is right in the middle of that, so, anybody else, is everybody around? The
We
5th or
don't need to
19th?
be there. You're the one who has to give the report.
Well, we are all, it's always good when we're there to support each other, support the committee. I don't know. Want to try the 19th of December? Then it gives you plenty of time to do the report.
We'll try to get the report done first thing next week.
I mean, either the 5th or the 19th.
Okay.
I'm gonna see which,
You might just see which agenda meeting is gonna be less stuff on it.
yeah,
Okay, would you prefer 4 o'clock or 7? If I can have a choice, do you want 4 o'clock or 7?
4.
I will pitch 12:05 at 4 p.m.
Okay,
and we'll have Lisa get back to you with confirmation.
yeah, we got a better chance, I think, at 4. Well, who knows? Depends on where we come up on.
Last council meeting, there was one item on the evening agenda and the early agenda was lively. Thankfully, mine was the evening one.
Well,
Didn't have to wait through though.
But if they don't get through the
They,
4 o'clock,
they got through it.
that's my question, if they get through 4 o'clock. And you never know. With any lack of luck, will be exactly at the wrong time, but. Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you. And then we have for next year to take a look, and I looking at what we have done, do these dates right now look good for everybody?
My
Or-
question is, do they work for you for
Yeah.
what you're gonna need for each of the meetings?
Honestly, I would prefer a week later for each of them because I would like to have the.
Then I don't have a problem. Let's say
That's
we do it
fine.
a little week later. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think the key is to have the info.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 week either way, at this point.
I just threw the pasta at the wall. And if it doesn't stick, then we just will figure out when it.
Yes, I'd like to have, because the labor, we have to wait until the second payroll gets posted and it's not like the 15th of the following month. So I'd like to be able to include that and make.
So we have January 15th then, that's a week later. Yeah,
Is the 15th a holiday though?
April 15th, tax day. July 15th.
January 15th is a holiday.
If they're 7 days later.
Yeah,
What?
maybe
No,
a
it's
holiday.
No, you're
Oh.
good. It's good.
We're good.
Which is,
It should be fine. I think the 22nd.
January 15th is okay? Okay. So January 15th, April 15th, July 15th, and can we leave October 14th? Or do you want to move it to the 21st? That is
Well,
pushed
October-
already.
It should be fine.
That one's okay. Okay. So we are proposing, and that's why, again, I offered those dates to see what's good for you all. Okay. Is this sound okay to
Mhm.
everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay.
And we'll just get an email with all those once.
Yeah.
Once it's set.
And then, and I would suggested also that, we'll get the email with the dates. And then reminding us, we've discussed reminding us a little earlier than a week before, or a couple of days before, so that maybe 3 weeks before.
Do we have to at some point? Vote for a new chair?
Yes, I was gonna, it's an interesting thing that we can do.
I thought
that
you
in
might be
January.
bringing that up, but yeah,
Yes, yes.
you've only done it since the beginning.
I might just, Mr. Vice,
I'm the vice chair.
you are, look at
Oh
my,
crap, I shouldn't have said anything.
yeah, buddy.
Ugh.
Yes, well, then we can maybe put that on the agenda for the January meeting
Okay,
Yeah.
to discuss. Yeah, perfect. Excellent. All right.
I thought we made the other Rick the one.
Well,
I think we should appoint him chair since he's not here.
that's right. We just can't, I think, because we would be
Well,
involved.
it wasn't agendized, so we.
Yeah, right, we can't. We can discuss.
Yeah, the person who does not attend the January meeting will become the chair.
Like, hi, Rick, guess what? Great. Do we have anything else? Anything for the good of the order? Any other public comment?
No public comment.
Right, then we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.